Hey everyone, welcome back to Rec Sports at Home. My name is Katie Landrum, and I'm the Assistant Director for Group Exercise. Today we're going to do 30 minutes of Power Vinyasa again. Today we're going to focus on just the idea of one. And so if you're anything like me through this time, you've got a lot of ideas of projects and goals and things to keep you active and occupied through this time. And if you're also like me, sometimes that can be really overwhelming of like, how am I going to get all of this done? And then you just freeze into inaction. That has been a trap that I've fallen into myself. One thing that's really helped is a book I read last year called The One Thing by Gary Keller. It's just kind of rephrasing the question from productivity to something along the lines of, what's one thing I can do today so that the next 24 hours is brighter, easier, or happier? If I start there, that can help me set up my day for success so that I know that the rest of the day is going to be easy. I did my one thing. Maybe I practiced yoga that day, or maybe I cleared out my inbox so that I could tackle one of the big projects I needed to do for my staff. Whatever that is for you, if you can find that focus to get started with that one thing that can help set you up for success the rest of the day, or set you up to have a brighter day, that's going to make all the difference. So today on our mat, we're going to talk about our one focus is keeping the hips square, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as we get started. But all you'll need is a mat and a bottle of water today, and we'll go ahead and get started.
Go ahead and settle in onto your mat, onto your back. So you can start by just settling in, noticing your shoulders and your hips and your heels into the floor, maybe taking a full body stretch, and then relaxing with your hands on your belly or on your hips. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to focus on keeping our hips square throughout the day, and you'll notice here what that feels like. Your hips will be square towards the ceiling, and that just means that they're level with one another, and it helps keep our body in alignment. As you settle in, notice your breath. Notice any thoughts that you maybe could let go of so that you can tune in to your hips and how to help keep them square. Maybe notice any sensations that are coming up. Just anything to be aware of as we settle into our mats. Allowing our body and our breath, that connection, to be our one focus in our mind. Maybe gently deepening the inhale, feeling the belly, ribs, and chest rise as you pull that first split knee into the chest. You can grab onto the back of the thigh here as you just notice that you're keeping that other hip down here. You can take your hand to that hip to help anchor it, but just gently pull that knee towards the chest, and then gently on an exhale, bring the knee across the body for a first supine twist. You'll feel the shoulders relax towards the mat. If you want to place a pillow or anything underneath that knee to help give it some support, feel free. But you should feel this twist as both hips are facing the side while keeping that low back nice and long and keeping those hips square to the side rather than the ceiling. Continue to take big breaths in and full breaths out. When you're ready, gently bring that knee back to center. Cross your ankle over the opposite knee, and you can stay right here with the sole of the foot onto the floor, or you can pull that bottom leg in closer to you. We'll feel a nice glute stretch here. But again, we're feeling both sides of the low back into the floor so that both hip points, those headlights on a car, if you will, are facing the ceiling, even as we get this nice stretch. Head, neck, and shoulders should be relaxed here. And remember, you can always let that bottom foot relax on the floor or pull it closer to you. We'll slowly uncross that top leg and keep that bottom leg hugged in tight, and we're ready for the second side. So that nice smooth transition with one knee into the chest and anchoring down that opposite side hip. so that hips are facing the ceiling here. Continue to take big, deep breaths here. Gently exhale into a twist. Feeling that side body open, and again, you'll see hips stack here so that the low back and hips are square towards the side wall rather than the ceiling. Arms can do whatever feels best, and again, you can take any variation of the legs that feels good here. Maybe even look towards the opposite hand, so maybe looking towards your left hand if your left leg is crossed over. Gently unwinding, crossing that ankle over the knee and pulling the thigh in if that feels good, or keeping that foot on the ground. You can say hello to Nala as well if you'd like. Good. So here, sometimes it's nice to feel those hips square straight to the ceiling as you find the stretch. Feel free to add a smile in at any point of this practice. When you're ready, pull both knees into the chest, giving yourself a big hug, maybe a gentle rock side to side. And then gently start to rock and roll the length of your mat. If you don't want to rock and roll, you can always roll over to one side, but we're all going to meet into a forward fold. So press those feet into the floor about hip width apart. Generously bend your knees this first round. We want to feel that upper body relax over the thighs here. And so if we take ragdoll by grabbing those opposite elbows, you can even add a gentle sway side to side, but really we want that to be nice and smooth as we start to let those hamstrings open up here. Take a big breath in, reach all the way up, mountain pose. Feel the shoulders relax away from the ears, and then let the hands come down to the hips. So just focus on keeping those hips towards your front. Roll the shoulders down away from the ears. Feel the heels pressing into the mat as you rise up through the crown of the head. Feel the collarbones widen before you inhale, reaching back up into mountain pose. Exhale, dive forward, forward fold. Bend the knees generously. Inhale, half lift, long spine. Exhale, high plank, step back, and lower the knees this first round. Let the elbows shave the ribs as you lower down all the way to the belly. Inhale, open up, cobra pose, collarbones wide. Exhale, child's pose, hips sink back towards the heels. We'll stay here for a few moments, but those lowering sequences are always an option. That's a really nice option here if you're working into it again, especially early in the practice, or if you want to still build up strength. We'll go through a couple more options here, but if you'd like to hold a plank or meet us in child's pose or downward facing dog at any point, feel free to take that option. When you're ready, shift forward back into high plank, lower down halfway this time, then lift the thighs off the mat, straighten the arm for upward facing dog. Notice that difference from cobra, sink back to child's pose. We'll shift back forward. This time, maybe tuck the toes for your high plank. Lower down halfway. Untuck the toes. Lift through the heart up dog with the thighs off the mat. Exhale, downward facing dog. Tailbone is nice and high. Take a few moments here and come back to high plank. Head is far away from the heels, lowered all the way down. Inhale, lift through the heart, cobra pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. Beautiful. So those are some options here you have for that lowering sequence. Feel free to take whatever feels best. And then as you settle into downward facing dog today, add some movement. I like to add some calf raises and replace my feet. And then I like to bend my knees until my hamstrings are warmed up. When you're ready, step forward into forward fold. Inhale, mountain pose, reach up. Good. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, half lift, long spine, collarbones widen, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Exhale, high plank or down dog. You can always lower here if you'd like. Lift through the heart. Exhale, downward facing dog. We're moving through this a little bit quicker this time, but always feel free to go at your own pace. When you're ready, look forward towards the top of your mat. Exhale, forward fold. Feet come towards the top of your mat. Inhale, mountain pose. Sweep up, root down to rise through the ceiling. Exhale, dive forward, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Exhale, plant the hands into the floor and check that your hips are square and those headlights are facing the floor. Maybe as you hold that plank or as you lower down through the floor and then shift them back to downward facing dog. When you're ready, look forward. Exhale, forward fold, step, hop, or float. Inhale, half lift as you rise up to mountain pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, long spine. Exhale, take your lowering option. Maybe that's holding plank, maybe that's lowering the knees this time. But pay attention to what the hips are doing, as though that will inform the rest of your body of where it needs to face. And choose to shift back to child's pose or downward facing dog. When you're ready, if you're in child's pose, go ahead. We'll meet back in downward facing dog. Lift that right heel towards the sky. Gently open the hip here as you feel that knee out stack over the hip. Keep shoulders facing the floor. Now, inhale, re-lengthen the leg and square the hips to feel that difference. Coming back into that square position. When you're ready, step through low lunge. Drop the back knee the first round if that feels okay. And we're going to shift back and forth, seeing if we can keep our hips facing the front as we start to move and straighten the front leg and then straighten the back leg. You can stay right here with the knee down, or you can tuck the toes and lift the back knee and straighten the front leg from there. If you have blocks or anything or pillows that can help raise the floor to meet you, feel free. Each time you straighten the leg, you'll take a big inhale and exhale as you come back to low lunge. When you're ready, sweep up to warrior one. So you'll notice I scooted my back foot forward and widened my stance a little bit so I could square my hips to the front. We're going to press through the blade of that back foot to engage the outer edge of the leg as we keep those hips square to our front. Pull the ribs down towards the hips and relax your shoulders. Fingertips are going to reach tall here. And then when you're ready, you always can play with that stance as much as you need. But find somewhere where you feel strong and stable before coming back down to take your lowering sequence or meet back in downward facing dog. Take a big breath in. Big breath out. Take a big breath in. Big breath out. Gently sweep that left leg high. Notice how it feels to open the hip first by stacking that left hip on top. Feeling those hips open up to the side of the room as the shoulders stay facing the mat. You can bend that top knee, maybe circle the ankle if that feels good. Then gently inhale, re-lengthen that top leg as you square the hips back towards your mat, bringing both headlights and all 5 toes of that left foot to face the floor. Even that sneaky pinky toe, it likes to stay facing the side. And then exhale, step through to low lunge. Gently lower the knee. Inhale as you straighten your front leg. And exhale as you come back to low lunge. Take a few more. Gently inhaling and exhaling. Maybe even lifting that back leg and coming from both legs relatively straight. Listen to what your body needs here. It's up to you and how that feels. But our main focus is keeping those hips square. We want to pull that right hip forward slightly as we straighten that left leg. On your next inhale, straighten that leg. Exhale, bend the knee, low lunge. Inhale, warrior one. Back foot comes in slightly and turns down to a 45-degree angle. Then that right hip slides forward as the left hip slides back. We still want to press down through the outer edge of your foot as well as the outer edge of your leg to help protect that knee and keep that full leg engaged. Always think about driving that back hip forward so that both headlights can point in the same direction. Bring the hands down on your next exhale, maybe choosing to take your lowering sequence or hold that high plank. Big inhale wherever you are. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, look towards the top of your mat. Exhale, fold forward, feet come towards the hands. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, mountain sweep out, around and up, driving the heels into the floor before going back to forward fold on an exhale. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, high plank. Take your lowering sequence, always keeping those hips in line with the shoulders, all facing the floor. We'll all meet in downward facing dog. Taking that sequence a little faster, inhale, right heel lifts. Exhale, step through straight to low lunge. Inhale, warrior one. Sweep the hands up, back foot comes in into that 45-degree angle. Exhale, high plank to lower or downward facing dog. Deep inhale. Deep exhale. Inhale, left leg or second leg lifts up high, all 10 toes facing the floor. Exhale, step through low lunge. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, plant the hands. Step back, high plank to lower or downward facing dog. Good. We'll all meet back in downward facing dog. Look forward. Exhale, step, hop, or float to the top of your mat. Inhale, mountain pose. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, half lift, long spine. Exhale, step back, high plank. So keep the head, neck, and shoulders in line with the hips and heels. Taking a big breath in before exhaling into downward facing dog. We're going to do a little bit of heat building in the core here and challenging our stabilization a little bit. When you're ready, shift back forward into high plank. But then we're going to take one forearm down and slide that back hand into a chaturanga position or that half plank position. So our goal here is to keep those hips nice and square. You may have to readjust, but our shoulders and hips are still square towards the floor. Feel free to take those knees down if you'd like and then switch hands. No matter whether your knees or toes are down, you're still working that core and you can still focus on keeping those hips square as that informs the rest of your body of where to move. Come back to forearm plank and then your hands. Shift back to downward facing dog for a quick break. Take a big breath in, big breath out. We'll take that one more time each side. So when you're ready, shift forward into high plank and lower down to the forearms. Feel free to take the knees down as you bring that right hand back into our half plank or our low plank. Good. One more breath before you switch sides. Try to keep those hips nice and steady. Find that stable position here. This will warm you right up, whether you're on your knees or on your toes. You can even take one knee if you'd like. And we'll all meet back in downward facing dog. Send the hips up and back. Good. Right heel lifts towards the sky. Step through low lunge. Sweep up warrior one. Good. Find that stable foundation here. Bring your hands to your hips and feel that they're square here. Now we're going to try and take this as we move into a balance. Gently lean forward on an inhale before exhaling into warrior three. Drive that left hip and 5 toes towards the floor. Maybe take your arms out for a balance. And then if you'd like, you can bend the heel towards the glute and re-lengthen on an inhale. You don't have to be parallel to the floor. You can be at any height that feels best, but we're focusing on keeping head, hips, and heels in line here. Maybe take a few more knee bends here before inhaling back into warrior one. Back heel presses into the floor. Release those hands down to the mat on an exhale. Step back, high plank to lower or downward facing dog. Take a moment here before switching to the second side. We're going to send that left leg up this time. Heel straight up towards the sky, both hips facing the floor. Exhale, step through low lunge. Inhale, warrior one, back heel scoots in and comes to a 45-degree angle. Those ribs knit down towards the hips. Hands come to the hips as you gently hinge forward on an inhale to prepare. Exhale, press up, warrior three. Now again, find the level that feels good. You can bring those big toes to the ground for a little support and a little balance stability here. Or you can tilt forward as much as feels good. But again, focus on that right hip driving towards the floor and those right toes facing the floor as well. That heel can come towards the glute on an inhale, on an exhale, and then inhale, straighten that leg. That's always optional. It just adds a little balance challenge. Inhale, warrior one, back foot presses down, shoulders relax away from the ears, hips re-square if necessary. Plant those hands on an exhale. Choose to lower to the mat. Inhale, open up if you chose to lower. Exhale, downward facing dog. Head hangs heavy before you step forward into forward fold. Inhale, reach up, mountain pose. Exhale, dive forward. We're going to move through that a little bit quicker this time. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant the hands. Choose to lower here or shift back into downward facing dog or even hold that plank. But when you're ready, shift back. Inhale, that right knee towards the sky. Exhale, step through low lunge. Inhale, warrior one. Press that back heel down, sweep the hands up. Exhale, warrior three. Send that heel back, maybe the hands back with you. Take another big breath in. Big breath out as you re-square those hips. Good. Find that focus, find that balance. Inhale, warrior one, back heel spins down. Shoulders relax. Exhale, high plank to lower or downward facing dog. Take what you need. We'll meet back in downward facing dog. On your next inhale, left heel is going to swing towards the sky, hips, headlights facing the floor. Exhale as you step through low lunge. Knee stacks over the ankle as you inhale up to warrior one. Back heel spins to 45. Exhale, warrior three. Hands and heels sweep back towards the back wall. Right hip and toes point towards the floor. Remember, you have that option for a kickstand here if you'd like it. Take another big breath in. Big breath out. Inhale, warrior one, back heel presses into the mat before you exhale to lower through your high plank or meet in downward facing dog. Big breath in wherever you are. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, look towards the top of your mat. Exhale, forward fold, feet to hands. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold, and sit those hips back. And we're going to come into a seat. So you can gently rock and roll back if you'd like, finding your way onto our backs as we finish up our practice today. So your heels are going to come right underneath your knees as we prepare for bridge pose. Hands by the side, eyes look up towards the ceiling. And maybe check to make sure that those hips are level as you inhale to lift those hips into bridge pose. Now here, if it feels good, you can roll one shoulder and then the other underneath you to open the heart. But see if you can feel space across the front of the hips as well as across the low back. Take another big breath in. Exhale, lower down one vertebrae at a time. If you'd like, you can rock your knees side to side here to open up the low back as we settle in. Now we'll take this a couple more times here. You can take it as many times as feels good, but I'll give you a couple options in this next round. So come back to center when you're ready. Gently lift the hips on an inhale. Now you may choose to lift one leg towards the sky, maybe just slightly forward, maybe just lifting the toes. Or you can press that foot in front of you. This is going to challenge you to keep those hips level. Switch sides as those hips stay lifted. Or you can always choose options here. So maybe you lift that foot in front of you or just lift those toes off the ground to see how you're feeling balance-wise today. Take a big breath in and exhale, lower all the way to the floor. You can take that knee rock side to side or gently pull the knees in front of the chest. Repeat that as many times as you'd like. But if you're ready, you can go ahead and release one leg back into the floor, letting it go long, keeping the opposite knee into the chest. Maybe feeling that it comes a little closer, but notice how that opposite hip responds. When you're ready, cross the knee across the chest, coming into that supine twist. Eyes can look away from that top knee if that feels good. But bring your attention back to your breath here as you notice your hips turn towards the side. Your spine is rotating away from those hips here. Can you feel each vertebrae in its different facing? Take a big breath in. Big breath out as you bring that knee towards the chest. Maybe this time grab onto the back of the hamstring or the calf for a single leg happy baby. As you can see, my leg wants to come off the floor, so maybe I pull that foot into the floor so that my hips can stay square as I get a nice stretch for my hip on that right side. You can straighten and bend the knee if you'd like. But that right knee is coming towards that right hip, so a little bit wider than we were earlier. That right knee can cross over the left ankle for our figure 4 or pigeon stretch. Again, know that you can keep that left foot on the ground, or you can pull that leg in towards you. But focus on relaxing the shoulders, maybe letting the jaw fall away from the rest of the head. Notice, can you feel both sides of the hips press into the floor? Remember that bottom foot can always come down to help support you. Gently lengthen that top leg and pull your second knee into the chest. Again, notice how that opposite hip responds. Does it want to come up? Do you want to lean one way or another? But can you bring that attention back before twisting over towards that straight leg? Eyes turn away from the top leg once again. Then bring your attention back to your spine. Can you feel each vertebrae rotating away from the hips, rotating away from the sacrum? I invite you to draw the knee back across the body and grab onto the back of the hamstring or the calf or the outside edge of the foot for that single leg happy baby. So allowing that opposite hip to still rest on the floor rather than rolling over towards that top leg. Again, notice what feels best for you here, trying to let that bottom leg relax. That left knee comes towards the left armpit here as we try to settle that right hip into the floor. When you're ready, cross that left ankle over the right knee for pigeon pose or reclined pigeon. Take any variation that feels good. Sometimes it's nice to have that constriction of pulling your knee close to your chest. But always know you have the option to let that foot fall to the floor if that helps you stay relaxed through the upper body. If there are any other movements here that you'd like after this pigeon pose, feel free to take those, but gently release both legs long onto the mat. Maybe finding a full body stretch or bringing one hand to the belly and one hand to the chest. Just noticing your breathing. We're back to that square position with our hips facing the ceiling. Feeling the lights on the hips shine towards the sky. If it feels better at this point in your practice to bring the knees together, feet wide onto the mat, that can feel really nice for the low back. Feel free to take that. But take as much time as you need here to find that rest and release in your practice. Remember, whatever one position, one feeling, one thing can help you here, I invite you to take that. Maybe that's knees together. Maybe that's coming to a seat. But allow the rest of this practice to float away. And know that I will walk you out when the time comes. If you need more time, please stay here. But if you're ready, gently start to bring movements back into the body, maybe wiggling the fingers and toes or gently rocking the head side to side to bring your body back into this moment, to bring your mind back into this moment. Make your way towards one side of the body, gently rolling over, finding that your head rests on the top arm as a pillow. Again, taking as much time as you need to transition from this practice into the rest of your day. Gradually push yourself up to a comfortable seat. Maybe keeping your eyes closed if that's comfortable for you. Allow your shoulders to relax away from the ears as you bring your hands together as one in front of the chest. Big breath in. Exhale, let it all go. Bowing in gratitude for this community and this practice. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for sharing your practice today. If you have any other questions or concerns, don't hesitate to let us know. But I hope whatever your one thing is, I hope it brightens your day, makes your day a little bit easier, makes you a little bit happier. If there's anything we can do to help make that happen, feel free to use our comment card to let us know any suggestions or questions you have on our Rec Sports website. Or if you want to use the Ask the Trainer link to ask any personal questions about your own practice, your own exercise routine, that's always available too. If you have any questions or concerns, don't hesitate to reach out. But thank you so much, and we'll see you again next Monday at noon. Bye.